Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. As some of you guys are aware, hopefully all of you are aware, but as some of you are competing, we have a tournament going on right now, Champion Chase Tournament, with the reward being Sir Nicholas himself right there. Now, I'm not obviously competing for that. I have a Sir Nicholas. I don't need a second. But I know a lot of people are, and a lot of people have got them from these 10-time events. So I wanted to kind of refresh your memory on an Unkillable team that I presented about 2 months ago or so. A Sir Nicholas Unkillable team. The big thing about this is it works on auto. And with Sir Nicholas, that's tough because Sir Nicholas's AI is really weird, where he prioritizes the shield ability over his Unkillable ability. It's a mess, but I got a team to work on auto by bringing in Painkeeper, by bringing in a Skull Crusher. You can also bring in a Taurus. I was able to build this team as is. I was able to build it with the 4-3 champion doing damage. I was able to build it with the Kreela in there. I was able to build it with our stun target going faster. There's lots of possibilities with this. They are all on the website, so go check those out for sure. But I figured this is a time to dust this off, show it to you guys again so you have an idea of like some of the stuff that we can do out there. In case you missed this video, now you get a chance to watch it again. Real challenging to make. It uses a lot of the same stuff we get from the Budget Unkillable in order to guide the stun. So we take all the information we've learned over time and put it into one spot, one team. So it's important to understand how stun targeting works. It's important to understand how HP and defense works in this. But if you can do that, this is a real good team. So I'll let you guys watch this. If you have more questions after seeing this, obviously just check out the original video where I go into more detail. I'll show you all the stats and stuff. I'm skipping that here. We're just going to jump in. So yeah, here's the run. Alright guys, so we're about to jump into this run here with Nightmare. So I'm going to show you the Nightmare run, which is green affinity, so you can see that it works against that. And I'm going to show you an Ultra Nightmare run against red affinity, so you can see the damage potential of this composition. Now, we start off pretty normally. We want the tuning to get this right. It really only takes one and a half cycles to get there. Painkeeper needs to use her A1 to start. We're going to have to delay a little bit. Skull Crusher actually can use the Unkillable right from the jump, which is nice. Gives us a couple extra attacks as a result. You'll notice Doom Priest is going to go super fast to cleanse everything. Now, this is the instructions for using for Nightmare. Now, with Sir Nick against Nightmare, we can go ahead and use the Unkillable right from the start, and we'll be in tune in no time. The instructions for Nightmare against green affinity are exactly the same as they would be against any other affinity. It doesn't change. Now, Painkeeper is going to use the A1 on their first attack on turn count 1 here. Everyone else is going to go through their business. It is important, though, that we have Sir Nicholas use his A2 ability. There you can see the combat tactics on the second attack from the Painkeeper, and there Sir Nick uses that shield ability right there. That's the perfect timing for it. That's what we need. Now, Skull Crusher here does go first on this turn and won't ever again. After that, it's going to be Doom Priest. She cleanses the stuns. Okay, I wanted to pause it right here because you can see Painkeeper has 2 skills available, the A1 as well as the A2. Now, what we really want to do is use the A1 skill to give her a little bit of a speed boost, which will give her a second turn. Not this exact turn count, but in the future, so she'll always have 2 attacks before the stun lands, and the second attack will be the A2 ability to give some healing. However, I didn't do that this turn count. I do that the next turn count, which works as well. It doesn't break the tune, it actually works just fine, but it's a lot simpler if you use the A1 here and then the A2 on the next attack. But as you can see, I use the A2 ability right here. It's going to be fine. I'm just going to delay it later on. Everyone else is going to go through skills. Really important. That Santa right there uses that A1 skill. That's going to be important just to time things out. You see the stun goes, not a big deal. We will get that cleansed in time from Doom Priest. And even if we didn't, Painkeeper's cooldown would mean Skull Crusher is going to have that fall off of him. It's kind of a unique thing with this. We don't necessarily need a cleanser for the stun with Skull Crusher, which is great. Now, as far as this goes, we're going to continue using our skills, and there goes the Unkillable with Sir Nick. And from this point on, we are unkillable, and we're completely in tune. I like the manual just a little bit just to ensure everything's in point. Here you can see the combat tactics, and this is something I want to point out. We use the combat tactics, so here you can see it would be nice. We don't have to. We can do it next turn. It'll sync itself up. but it's nice to use the A1 with Skull Crusher there so he has the unkillable ability next turn. But here you're going to see Sir Nick is going to use his shield ability. It's a 3-turn cooldown. So he uses it there. Well, in 3 more turns, it'll be at this exact same spot because he used it after the cooldown reduction. But because of that cooldown reduction, his Unkillable ability is now on a 3-turn cooldown, and so it's going to happen at the same time every single turn. And that's the beauty of using Painkeeper with Sir Nick, and that's how we're able to put it on auto. Now, I did say that we don't need to cleanse the stun because Skull Crusher kind of takes care of that himself. Doom Priest, however, does need to cleanse the debuffs. That's the speed part, right? So if we have another AoE cleanser on a 3-turn or even a 4-turn cooldown that they prioritize, we can use them in that Doom Priest slot when we're playing with Skull Crusher. In this case, the champion I would prefer to use would be Bad Alcazar, because Bad Alcazar is not only going to cleanse that stun, he's also going to put up poisons on the clan boss and make our champions hit harder while poisons are on the clan boss. So that's kind of a big win there. There aren't any other champions that I firmly believe would be excellent choices for that, so there's none that I really would recommend outside of that. I suppose you could use like a Battle Sage and give you an increased attack buff as well, but that's very similar to what Doom Priest brings, honestly. And I think if you're going to use somebody other than Doom Priest, it's probably Battle Khazar or it's nobody. That said, there are options out there, so definitely explore it. Try and maximize the damage as much as you can. Let me go ahead and let you guys watch this run. When we're done with this, we're going to watch an Ultra Nightmare run. We're going to watch it against Red Affinity, where I don't use a cleanser because we don't have to worry about the debuffs, and because of Skull Crusher, he doesn't have to worry about the stun. So that's going to come up after this so you can see the maximum damage possible. $29 million against Nightmare, not too bad. Definitely a 2-key Nightmare team. It's also going to be a 3-key Ultra Nightmare team. Now for this one, we are going to take out Doom Priest. We're going to bring in Septimus to be our damage dealer. And we're doing that because we don't need to worry about the debuffs from the Red Affinity. I mean, they're not great, but we don't have to worry about them. And we also don't need to worry about the stun targeting because of Skull Crusher. And because Skull Crusher is going to kind of take the stun away from himself anyhow, and Painkeeper is going to reduce the cooldown, so he'll work anyhow, no matter what. So we're going to start off Ultra Nightmare, Painkeeper with the A1, Skullcrusher with the counterattack. We can do that right from the jump. It's great. Painkeeper's first attack is going to be the A1, second attack is going to be combat tactics, and then we're going to be right in the flow. Everybody else is just using their skills as it comes. Now, it is important that we have Sir Nicholas use that shield attack right from the get-go here, and you'll see that coming up in a moment. And then Painkeeper is going to use on their second attack, just like on Nightmare, the cooldown reduction. So there's the shield, here's the cooldown reduction, combat tactics, and then you can see right there, we got that A1 from Skullcrusher, hasn't been reduced enough yet, and he's going to use his Unkillable ability right before the stun, which is perfect timing. Everybody else is just kind of do their thing. Now, we are going to use the A2 from Painkeeper right away on this one. There is no delay. We don't have to use any other skills in between. And there goes Sir Nicholas is going to use the A1 there. There goes Skullcrusher with the Unkillable, and now we're pretty much in tune. The only thing we have to make sure is that we use Sir Nicholas's Unkillable ability right here before the AoEs. Everything's available, so we do need to use the Unkillable ability right there. And once we do that, now we're good to go. Yes, Skullcrusher takes an extra turn. Yes, Painkeeper takes an extra turn there. So it's not like we're perfectly unkillable right from the jump, but at this point, the clan boss isn't doing enough damage to really threaten us. And if he is, then we probably haven't built these champions correctly. That said, we're going to be unkillable pretty much from this point on. You can see Painkeeper's vulnerable there, but after this, we're in good shape. And this is going to be the same, whether it's green affinity, red affinity, blue affinity, doesn't matter. The turn order doesn't change, as long as we have the cleanser in the appropriate spot. And so there we go. There goes the stun on Skullcrusher, and he's going to go ahead and cleanse that. Everything else pretty much is on auto here, guys. There's nothing really to worry about as it goes right through. You can see, there we go, unkillable. We are protected, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Alright, before I let this run and you guys just watch it, there's a couple little things I do want to point out for you guys. One, we don't need to use Doom Priest as a cleanser. We could use a Bad Alcazar in that spot. As long as we have Skullcrusher there, we don't have to worry about the stun being cleansed. So the only thing we need to cleanse is the debuffs from green affinity or red affinity or blue affinity, whichever one you want. If you find that to be important, bring in that cleanser. Doom Priest will work on all those affinities. The other thing I want to point out is that when you're trying to use Skullcrusher when he's strong affinity, basically against the blue clan boss, I believe it's possible to use him as a stun target. However, it is difficult. You have healing coming from Painkeeper, you have healing coming from Sir Nicholas, not to mention the shield Sir Nicholas has out there, so it can be a bit tricky. There's a couple things that you can do to try to make that happen. One, make sure that he does not have Life Drink or any other forms of healing other than what you get from Painkeeper. In this sense, we're using the stuff we've learned from the budget Maneater build and applying it to Skullcrusher here to ensure that he has very little HP, but that the rest of the champions have an abundant amount. Also important is to make sure that you don't have weak affinity champions as your DPS champions. I would not use Fane. I would not use Septimus. I would not use any champions that are green affinity. It makes it really hard to target the stun. In the same respect, when you're going against red affinity clan boss here, bringing in blue affinity champions to do your damage is going to make it a lot harder to focus a stun on Skullcrusher. However, I can tell you, I did test at least against red affinity, you can make it so that Skullcrusher takes the stun, at least at a certain point, once they're all the way down to 0 HP. So the key is building Skullcrusher with very little defense and a lot of HP, making sure that that heal from Painkeeper gives him just enough to take the stun, but considerably less than the rest of the champions there. And as long as the other champions are healing up over 50% of their HP, you should be able to target the stun on Skullcrusher. It's a dicey proposition though, so you might be better off actually paying attention to my next video tomorrow where I show you another champion you can use against the blue affinity clan boss and the red affinity clan boss. That'll make your life a whole lot easier. So pretty impressive runs, guys. I think you can see there's a lot of potential with this. Sir Nick hits really hard versus a man eater. I definitely can build this up better. I don't think I have anybody in this fully maxed out either. But being able to 2-key is pretty remarkable. Even a 3-key against green affinity, that's still really good because you have a nice steady run that you can actually click auto on a lot earlier than I generally do. So that's pretty dope. You don't have to change out a whole lot of champions. Like this one right here, I could use that against green affinity because the green champions, they work perfectly well with it. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a pretty awesome team, quite frankly. So, guys, I'm trying to bring you something new every single day that I can. It's a challenge, but I know you guys are enjoying this stuff. So, do me a favor, hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell, and go ahead and like the video. That stuff really means a lot to me. I'm trying to be able to do this, continue to do this full time, and your support just by subscribing and liking the video makes a huge difference. You have no idea. So, I would really appreciate that. Go ahead, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this build. Are you excited about the other versions I have? Oh yeah, I have more versions, guys. I've got a 4-3 version of this. I have another champion to use instead of Skull Crusher when it's not green affinity. Not only that, I've got a composition where I can use Kreela in this team. Pretty dope. There's some real range as far as building this team out. There's a lot of ways you can do this, guys. So I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 more videos coming out about this composition specifically, so you guys can get all that information. That's gonna be the next few days. Just so you know, also next week I am going away on the little mini vacation for a week, so I'm gonna be gone. Probably not going to be a lot of new updates from me, not a lot of new videos. So that's why hitting that notification bell is good. I'm going to try and have a couple of videos spaced out so you guys can get something while I'm gone. I'm not completely blank and void, but I just want to give you that heads up so you're not going, where's Deadwood Jedi? So that's it, guys. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.